What's up, Varla fans? Shawnyrick here, and today I'm going to show you how to swap out the original Varla inflatable inner tube tires and replace them with the solid rubber tires. And I know there's a lot of controversy on these and how they handle for this scooter, such as more vibrations on the road, burnout factor, stuff like that. But I just kind of want to see it for myself, so that's why I ordered these. I am curious on how these ride now that they have these out, which you can get off of AliExpress. The one thing to point out though already is that I don't know if they're going to be harder on the motor because they're heavy. These are really heavy compared to the rubber tire and the inner tube that's inside. And when you just hold these things, they got a lot of weight to them. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how the scooter performs, especially with a guy my size, adding the weight of these solid rubber tires too, and then seeing what it's like on the road. So with that said, let's get started. All right, so first thing we want to do, we're going to start with the rear tire here. We're going to want to take off the nut caps, just like that. You're going to grab your 21 millimeter ratchet, and we're going to take them off here. We got those off. And then now, what we want to do is go ahead and take the caliper off. Okay, then once you get those off, you want to take your caliper, slide it off just like that. And you got that off. The next thing you want to concentrate on is getting the tire off itself. But it is attached to the wire right here that goes to your controller that runs the motor back here. You need to pop off the little things here. And then, as you can see, it pops right off. And then I'm going to prop it this way. We're now going to take off all the outside of the rotor here. You want to stick something underneath the wheel here just to kind of keep it to where it's not pulling tight on this wire. But then once you have something underneath, you just deflate, take all the air out. Love that sound. And then you kind of just squeeze around the tires here a little bit, loosen them up, and you're going to turn it back around the best you can here. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take off the outer Allen screws, not the inner, not these. These go to the motor. You take these off, you'll get to the inner tube. All right, so once you get all those off, you want to take a straight edge screwdriver and kind of just pry this up. It's a little ring. That's pretty much around the tire there. Takes a little. And then you just do that until it comes right off. And then once you do that, you have your tire. You take off the other side here, kind of push on it to get it to release on the other side. Once you pop that stem out, which I finally got it, see, and then it just slides right off. All right, there's our tire. So I wanted to show you guys, to get this on, I had to do a little bit of modifying. I was able to trim down this and then cut grooves inside all the way around. And then I trimmed it down to make it fit. And once I did that, then I was able to get the tire on. I used some professional grade snips and a steak knife in order to trim the tire. The reason why I had to make triangle cuts into the center of the tire all the way around on the rubber slots is because the tire has to be able to squeeze together when you fasten the outer ring back down. And if you don't modify it this way, then the original design of the tire, you will never get the outer ring to fasten down. This is how the tire originally came before I made the cuts. What I did is I used this as a tracer and I went around it and I matched it until this went in like this. And then once I got that nice and snug, then it was able to line up, and I cut those divots inside the tire, and then you kind of just squeeze it on. Now, how you get it compressed in there, if you don't have an inner tube, is you got to go out and you got to buy yourself some long screws that are the same size as your original ones, because what you're going to do is you're going to tighten these down little by little until you can get all the screws in there back to the original ones. And because these are longer, it will help to get the tire tightened back up and for it to snug in there. I'll show you. Just kind of squeeze it with your hands here until you get it started. And once you do that, tighten one, and then it kind of gets it snugged in place. This side here along the lip, it will snug in as you tighten it up, and then it'll fit right where it needs to. As you tighten the screws up, you'll feel it pop into place. So I just wanted to mention that. So this looks off right now, but once you tighten it, you get all the screws around, it'll actually sit right where it needs to be. So then we're just gonna do another of the longer screws. And I pull up on the tire to help get it to sit in there, and then you can also take a screwdriver too and just kind of do that. See, and then it kind of lands itself in the grooves where it needs to go. And then once you get this lined up and proper, then you can tighten it down even more until you can try to get one of your original ones back in there, which now it looks like I can do. Yep, there it goes. See, once you get it compressed in there and you can get your original screws back in, you're good to go. And then see, as I've been screwing that side, how now that side is like seated right into place where it needs to be. Nice and flush. Just like this side right here. Nice and flush. If you don't tighten it down with your regular stock screws that came with the hub, then you will have wobbles and the tire will not ride like it should. So it's important to make sure that you definitely get your stock screws back into place to where it is fastened tightly down, and do not use any of the other screws. The other screws are only to help you seed the rim into place with the solid rubber tire. That's where you want it. Alright, then once we have our tire in place, of course, we gotta get the rotor back on. Just in case you don't know, there's always arrows that tell you which way the rotor should be going. So there's arrows on the side of this tire too, the new one. It tells you it should be going this way. So if this is going this way, it needs to be flipped, so that way it's going the right way. And you can tell the wear marks on this side. Okay, once you get your rotor back on, Now, I was a little bit hefty to get on, but you notice that I had 3 washers in there. And if this doesn't quite fit in on this side, just flip this washer. But there should be 3 spacers here, 1 spacer here. And it takes a little bit of finesse, but once you get it on there, it's on there. There's our solid new tire. And here in a moment, I'm going to test this out with the regular inflatable one up front. We're going to see how this does. So we'll see how it's going to do. So we're just going to put the locking washers back on here. And tighten down the bolts. Take my 21mm, tighten it down. Yeah, baby, this thing is smooth. Got a solid tire on the rear end now. There's a regular inflatable one in the front. So this is how you put a solid rubber tire on your Varla Eagle One.